Alrighty, so I have some, we'll start off with a few animal stories. So first off, there is a zoo in eastern China that went viral because there's this video of this bear standing and interacting with a tourist, waving. So everybody on TikTok's like, they got a human dressed as a bear in their zoo. Well...
They can get bears. I mean, bears in the circus, you can get those things to ride bicycles and stuff.
Right.
The standing and waving's a pretty...
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the zoo has denied suggestions, and these are, in fact, sun bears. And they're quite lovely. And, so they debunked that right away.
It's kind of a bad sign for a nation, though, if we're accusing you of not having real animals in your
Well, it's a weird time. Like you saw that guy who dressed himself up as a collie, like a border collie that started walking around.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just saying, it's like, you hear those stories about, if you're going to Rio de Janeiro, you got to bring a fake phone and a fake wallet because if you get held up, you're going to want to hand them your fake wallet. I'm like, that's not a good sign as a nation. And if people
are accusing...
If people wouldn't do that about the San Diego Zoo or the Chicago Zoo, they'd go, maybe it's just a dwarf in an outfit. Like, we'd go, no, what are you talking about? It's a zoo. We don't do that.
Yeah.
But the fact that we think you may do it is a bad sign for your culture.
I agree. So, so maybe don't go to that zoo in eastern China, even if it is a real bear. But there's a zoo in Toronto that lately has been advising its visitors to avoid showing videos and photos on their cell phones to the gorillas. Because it distracts the apes. So they posted the sign saying, please don't show it as some content can be upsetting and affect their relationships and behavior within their family. Right? And there's a zoo in Chicago that even put up a rope line a few feet away from the glass to keep its visitors from showing their phones to these gorillas. So they're being really affected by I guess, showing some photos to these gorillas. And now they're starting to act weird. So they're trying to get ahead of it.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, if a gorilla, I don't know, has the mind of a 3-year-old or something, and you could fuck up a 3-year-old by just showing them weird footage of stuff, then I guess you could fuck up a gorilla, too. I haven't been to the zoo in a long time. I used to take the kids there.
You went to the Oklahoma City Zoo, right?
Oh, yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
All I remember from the L.A. County Zoo is a couple things. One is I saw a hippo take a dump underwater, which, that's good luck. My God, in your culture, yeah. It is boom, man. I mean, it's a lot coming out at
the
once.
water goes up.
Yeah. Number one. Number two.
Good memory.
They got the churro hut. I don't like the churro. I don't like that we've usurped the donut with the churro. It's also the churros. First, they had Sonny got one that was stuffed with cream and it was like super homoerotic, like watching your son gnawing away on this thing with the cream all over his face.
It's already phallic shaped.
It was very gay. I didn't approve.
Well, he should bite into it. I heard he was sucking on it for a while.
Number rubbing around his face. The other one I didn't like at the zoo was I like the reptile hut. I've talked about this. It's been a long time though. They have the reptile hut, and they have these terrariums, these glass enclosures. Yeah. But the glass enclosures simulate where the tree snake is from or the toad is from.
Their natural habitats.
Their natural habitat. But all creatures are meant to blend in with their natural habitat because that's their camouflage for existing, right?
Right.
And so you have the natural habitat and you're staring at this thing like, where is that tree snake? Well, it's the exact same colors, the leaves on the thing. And it takes a long time. Now, if you're in the rainforest, you're going to get snatched up by a bird of prey. But if you're at the LA County Zoo, why can't we just have a nice tan background?
Yeah.
Just take a flat piece of plywood, paint a little gesso on it.
I need some contrast to it.
And then that fucking tree snake would pop.
Yeah.
Completely. You could stare right at it. And the tree snake would be freaked out momentarily because they're probably like, oh, shit.
I'm going to get eaten.
I'm going to eat my hawk. But then you realize, no, you got a lid and some lesbian comes by and feeds you crickets twice a day.
It's a sweet life.
you're here to be seen. I'm sorry, Your Highness. This is your life. And by the way, do they think they're in the rainforest? Their fucking cage is 3 foot by 4 foot by 22 inches deep.
You should have no threats.
There's no threats, and you don't need to simulate where they were from because they don't think they're there.
Yeah.
Because if they were there, then they'd be traveling for miles walking around the rainforest instead of in this one little area.
You're so right. It's so hard to find those things.
And also, what I want my bedroom growing up simulated in my house? It's a shithole. No, I'd want something modern and sleek and white.
Yeah.
That's what we need to
Minimal.
do.
That's what's in right now.
Make it minimalist, light, and let's look at the toad. Let's look at the snake. Let's look at the lizard. Don't give me the fucking lizard where I can't tell if it's the rock or the lizard, or they give the big rock and the thing snapping underneath the rock, and I can see part of its tail hanging out.
Yeah.
Just flat, white, no rocks, no gravel.
Because there's no motion either. Those things can stay perfectly still.
They just sit there. You get a heat lamp and a white box. and then I could go there and enjoy the shit out of it. Right? I'd spot you immediately. And then over the course of generations, the tree snake would start turning white with like a plywood design to start blending in to my new environment. And we could chronicle that.
Yeah. You could up the ticket price after that. People want to see that. They fly from all over.
Yep.
Yeah, forget the
I want to see it. You go to the terrarium there and try to look at the iguanas and stuff. You can't. You'll spend 20 minutes standing in front of one of those things going, is he behind the rock? Is it even in here? Like, no. White, boom. We see you. First off, we pay the bills. And we pay for your food. We pay for the zookeeper. We pay for the land. You're here to be displayed.
Right.
Do not blend yourself in.
You do not have a right.
You don't have a right to blend. You don't have a right to blend. And why would you? Why would you want to blend? You're here. Hello, everyone.
You're very rare.
You're
you
the
get
attraction.
to show yourself off.
Right. Yeah. Like when Taylor Swift does a concert, do you think she does it with 27 other skinny blondes wearing the same outfit? And we don't know which one she is? Right. No. Yeah. She's up front with the spotlight.
Yeah.
Because we paid.
And look how good she's doing.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same. It's the same difference.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'd like.
Yeah, me too. So I'm glad you really have figured out how to improve zoos. So thank you.
Well, first off, people are always like, "Oh, that would be cruel to the tree snake."
Yeah, I could see PETA going. You're giving them some unnecessary
they'd get shitty
stress.
About it. Okay.
Yeah.
How about just being cooped up in a cage and fed by a lesbian your entire life? You know what I mean? Like, haven't we already crossed that Rubicon?
They're all lesbians?
They're all lesbians who feed them the crickets. We're already into this part where you're being cooped up for your entire life. Yeah. You know, you're a toad, you're a snake, you're a lizard. You're supposed to roam God's earth, right?
Make the most of it.
We've already taken away your rights. We're really going to... It's like we put you in a prison cell and PETA's pissed off on how it's decorated.
Yeah.
You're already in a cell.
Right.
That's it.
Moot point.
That's right. So fuck off, PETA. Let's just put them in this environment so me and my son can look at them.
Eat some churros and look at
some churros and point at the tree snake.
You remember this video? It went viral a couple years ago. This just shows just how crazy gorillas get. But there's this little girl who was patting her chest at the glass, and the gorilla just ran after her and launched himself.
Oh, I didn't see this one.
You'll love this. It's crazy. It shows you the power of the silverback.
Mm-hmm.
So a little girl pounding her chest. Watch this silverback.
Wow.
Yeah, just jumped at her, cracked the glass.
Cracked the glass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that pissed him off.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what showing your selfies will do to him.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Majestic creatures, though. So, all right, so let's go on to our next animal in this segment, the beaver. Yeah, California is embracing beavers and the role they play in the ecosystem. After years of viewing this animal as a nuisance because they chew down trees and they block up streams, well, our state has recently enacted a new policy encouraging landowners and agencies dealing with beaver damage to find alternative solutions before trying to kill these things. So the aim is to preserve more beavers along with their nature-friendly behaviors because they include creating lush habitats that lure species back into now urban areas. They enhance groundwater supplies and buffer against the threat of those wildfires, which are, creating so much carbon emissions and destroying our...
Couple things.
Go ahead.
Nature knows what it's doing. It really does. It just knows what it's doing, sort of has a way for all of its creatures. You can't just decide one is bad and remove it from the system and expect the system to not change.
Okay.
So I'm a big fan of Mother Nature kind of knows what they're doing. I mean, it's part and parcel of stop showering 3 times a day and scrubbing with Purell. Nature understands what it's doing.
Let it be, yeah.
It's also sad that, as we talked about on the show, one wildfire season undoes 10 years of carbon capture and solar panels and Teslas and when
all our hard work.
It's all undone. Could we do a better job of managing the forest? Could we go, look, it's not sexy, and I know Gavin Newsom doesn't give a fuck, or Trudeau, or whoever's running whatever forest is currently on fire. And I know you guys want to blame climate change. All right. Okay. Climate change. Fine. So now we got 2 choices. Manage the fucking forest or do something about climate change. Since it doesn't seem like you can do anything about climate change, you who never stops talking about climate change, then why don't we get back to managing the forest?
See what we can control here.
Let's see what we can control. But they don't do it. And then half of it in L.A., California, it's either caused by homeless people or decrepit power lines that fall over in windstorms. That's all.
Every time I drive and I see
it's all
a plume of smoke, I'm like, oh, God.
Right. I mean, they're billed as climate-accelerated fires, but they were started by a transient.
Right. Or a power line because you didn't manage the grid and the shit was outdated and the pole fell over and started the fire. So can we do something here? And they always go, this is man-made climate change. Good. How about undoing some of the man-made shit, like the hobos starting the fires or the power lines, or manage your fucking forest, would you please? And then you also kind of go, how into this problem are they? Like with carbon? Like, is it really, like you can kind of go, is John Kerry that worried about carbon? And if he's really worried about carbon, then why does he fly private everywhere? And if Gavin Newsom is that worried about carbon and emissions, then why have a forest fire every year that undoes a decade of your good work that you never stop talking about? I tend to believe they don't believe it.
Right.
Meaning, like, I do not waste food, for instance, but there would never be a situation where you said, oh, I'm leaving. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to finish my meatloaf and then I'm going to leave. And then you came back. You're like, I forgot my sunglasses and I was scooping the meatloaf into the garbage. You would never see that because I have one fucking mode because this is what I care about.
Yeah.
So if you really care about the whole carbon thing, why not get on the forest management a little bit?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
I
don't
agree.
care.
They don't care.
No.
Do you remember that killer, the Preppy Killer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Robert Chambers, known as a Preppy Killer for murdering a teen back in Central Park back in 1986, was released again last week from prison after serving time for unrelated drug crimes. Just a reminder, so Chambers, when he was 19, he strangled Jennifer Levin, who was 18, to death in the case that became a tabloid sensation. He pleaded guilty to manslaughter after admitting in a taped confession to killing her during rough sex.
Yeah, it was kind of she wanted it this way, and I crossed the line. You know what I mean?
Right. So, yeah, he served a 15-year sentence. And then for first-degree manslaughter and second-degree burglary, released in 2003, and then was imprisoned again in 2008 on unrelated charges of first-degree criminal sale of a controlled substance and second-degree assault.
The thing about prison is it really tells you something about the human condition, which is most people go back to prison who leave prison. And if you'd think there'd be one lesson that was teachable in our society, like we all get the...
Don't do that again, yeah.
Yeah, like really this place that you know is the worst place ever, you went out and did shit that would get you eligible to go back to that place.
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. And that's how most people roll.
It's actually quite common.
Super recidivism is, I don't know, 70% or something. It's 78%. I mean, it's insanely common. Weird that's our wiring.
But do you think it's because they haven't learned their lesson, or that there's a part of them that just needs it? They don't know anything else, and they just want to go back.
I think it's a combo of being a certain way, not having, tangible skills to apply to the outside world. Also kind of a weird, in order to commit crime, you have to have a certain amount of bravado.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the notion of like, oh, I'm going to outrun this cop. You know what I mean? Like you have to have a strong, healthy belief in yourself to commit crimes. You know what I mean? Like you really kind of have to think about how much bravado you have, and then you're kind of like, well, they got me that one time, but they're never gonna. I mean, mixed with stupidity, mixed with abused as a child. I mean, it all factors in.
And is this a guy that you want out? Does it bother you?
The Preppy Killer?
Yeah. Like you say, like the Menendez brothers.
The Menendez brothers are fine.
Yeah.
And will be out soon, I think. When you kill somebody, that's definitely a thing that crosses the line. The Menendez is different, as I've explained to you a few times. But I don't know. There's certain crimes where you can just do your time and get out. I'm sort of that way. Preppy Killer.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, he's out, so you guys can hang.
And I didn't even know why we called him the Preppy Killer, because he's wearing like an Izod shirt with a pop collar and penny loafers or something when he was raping this chick in the park.
Yeah, sweater tied around his shoulders.
Yeah, was he? I guess he was a student or something. Yeah. But anyway, all right.
Well, there you go. Do you want to do another one, or are you good?
No, I think we got it.
All righty.